Right, this is our next project. This is a 29-inch Mongoose Excursion 21-speed mountain bike. It's got front suspension, and that's about it. Honestly, it's a pretty basic mountain bike, but what I do like about it is the triple setup we have at the front. Gives you a lot of good gear range. 7-speed in the back. It's the Shimano flat face, which it is what it is. It'll do the job. It's got the V-brakes in the rear and then a disc up front because, you know, why not? So picked this up for only $15. So we're going to get it tuned up. It's rideable in its own right now, but it needs a little bit of work. So I'll show you the front wheel. Needs a little bit of work on the disc, and then the rear as well. The wheel is warped a little bit, or out of true, I should say. And then there's a little bit of issues with the shifting in the rear derailleur, but not much we can't sort out. And for 15 bucks, I think this is a steal. I'm gonna start up here on the front wheel, and let me show you what I mean by it needs a little bit of work. So I'm gonna get it spun up, and you can't hear it, but that caliper, it's hitting on the disc. So on this style, I don't know if I'm gonna be able to see and show you. I'll try my best here. When you squeeze the trigger, only one side moves in towards the actual disc. So the right side in this case is moving in, and then the flat side or the stationary side doesn't do anything. But you can see there's no gap. So what we need to do is come in here, and that adjuster right there, that moves it in and out. So we're gonna back it out a little, make sure we're still getting good contact, but I'll show you the difference on when we spin the wheel. So I got you set up down here. I'm gonna put this in, and then I'm gonna watch from the front, and I'm going to back it out until I can see a gap between the pad and the rotor. And I'm gonna check for rubbing. It seems good. It's got a slight wobble. Nothing too crazy though. And then what I'm also gonna do is spin it up again to show you where we're at with it. So much smoother, not rubbing at all. And then now we can go and actually tune it up a little bit, because when I squeeze the brake, it stops, but I have to go almost all the way to the edge here. So obviously it should be engaging a bit beforehand. So we're gonna adjust it down there. All right, so what I ended up doing was I took the barrel adjuster out a little bit, get it spun up for you here. And now we're stopping. But in doing so, let's see if you could hear it. There's a slight rub. So I actually bought a tool for this. You can put it on the disc and true it out a little bit, and that'll help with it. So let me go grab that. So this is the tool, basically just a thin wrench here. It's got different slots on it. And what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna wait till I hear it. Somewhere about right here. So it's hitting. I'm gonna go to that part on the disc here. I'm gonna gently bend it out. I'm gonna put it back. I'm gonna test it again. Still hitting. I had to move the camera to get in where I wanted to, but you can't hear it now because I've straightened it out. So this wheel is good to go. Now that we get the front brake squared away, we're gonna work on the rear. I've detached the brake cable just because it's so out of true, that it was causing issues. So I've undone the brakes for now. And to tune it, all we really need is a Phillips head screwdriver and then a 10mm. So what I'm gonna do is I'm going to drop the gearing all the way down, and then I'm going to remove the cable. And then I'm going to turn the barrel adjuster all the way in, and then turn it out a few. And we'll need this to do the adjustments later. So if we need to lessen the tension or increase it, we want to make sure we can go up and down in either direction. I'm also going to do the same thing up front. Probably can't see it. I'm going to turn it all the way in, and then turn it out a few, just so we got more variability up there. And now, without any tension in the system, meaning that the cable's out, the chain should not come off of the highest gear, which is the bottom cog here. And it sounds like it wants to. So I'm going to come back here and check it. And sure enough, it's a little too far over. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to find the H screw, which is the high limiting screw, and I'm going to tighten it a little bit. And what this does is it pushes the cage over towards, in this case, the freewheel. And now we shouldn't have that sound, and it sounds much better. So what we've done is we've basically ensured at this point that the chain will not fall off. Now the derailleur looks pretty straight. I'm sure this hanger could go for a minor adjustment, but I don't think we need to do that. So now I'm going to reattach the cable. I'm going to make sure I'm in the highest gear all the way up front, which I am. Try and do this without blocking you. And I'm also trying to do this without adding any tension to the system. Because remember, we just got it centered. If I add too much tension, it might want to shift into the next gear. So, put this back, come up here, and we're going to shift one up. And that worked. We're going to go one more. Looking good. Again. All the way up. Now, the part I'm worried about is that here in the highest gear, this cage wants to still move over a little bit. So I'm going to drop it back down. Go. And I'm going to turn in the low limiting screw about a quarter turn. And what I'm checking here is I want to make sure it doesn't fall off. So it doesn't feel like it wants to go anymore. I'm going to adjust the barrel adjuster a little bit because it's hesitating going down. Still a bit of hesitation, so I'm going to turn it in a little more. Drop it down again and again. Go up. So it seems okay. Needs a little bit. I think we just need to break it in a little bit more because this bike's been sitting for a while. But overall, not bad. And then we'll come up here and I'll show you the front. Actually, let's do it this way. Get it shifted. And all the way here. Seems to be working fine. Shift back down. So front derailleur is dialed in where it needs to be. Now we could work on that wobbly rear wheel, which I'll show you here. You can see it. It's definitely got some issues in it, but we'll put it in the truing stand and we'll get it all fixed up. The rear wheel all set up, so I'll show you here. If you can't hear it, it's screeching a little bit. So what I'm going to do is just go around the wheel, and where I need to, I'm going to add or remove tension to push and pull the wheel left or right. And then as I go through, I'll also tighten it up down here to bring these arms in closer to make it as accurate as possible. So I'll go through that and then I'll show you the final result. All right, so it's been about 10 minutes. Give it a spin here. Pretty straight. Not bad for a home mechanic. I'm sure it could be a bit better, but now the V-brakes in the back shouldn't rub. So while I have it out, I'm also going to adjust the actual axle here because it's a bit tight. So I'll do that, put it back on the bike, and then we'll do a spin test. All right, got to reinstall it on the bike. I'm going to spin it up. So we're in the lowest up front. Now the middle, pop it out, give it a good spin. So it looks pretty good. About as true as I can get it. So now we're ready to work on the V-brakes in the back. First thing you want to get done when you do these is make sure it's actually contacting right. And you see I push it in and it gets stuck. And it's because the pad is hitting the tire. So I'm going to loosen this. I'm going to get it centered about where it needs to be. And then it moved a little bit on me. There we go, get it back. It's kind of tough because I want to be where the camera is, unfortunately. Right about there. Gonna squeeze pretty hard. Get it tightened down. And there we go. Now it's contacting where I want it to. Did the same to the other side. And now we got a pretty good action going here. So I'm going to spin it up again, apply the brake. Nice solid stop. So this bike is about done. So this is what it looks like all washed up. Not bad for a $15 bike. I don't know what the going rate is just to rent a bike for the day, but this is a lot cheaper than that, I'm sure. And with just a little bit of work and some know-how, we were able to give ourselves a nice 29-inch mountain bike. So if I was keeping this for myself, I would definitely replace the chain. It's got some life left in it. I put a lot of pressure on it trying to break it. Nothing went wrong there. I would probably replace this shifter too. It's a little loose, but workable. So yeah, not bad for $15 and probably get a good $60, $70 profit out of it because really didn't do much to it. So hope you enjoyed watching and you learned something. And if you haven't already, please subscribe to Good Ones Recycling.